Seneca Speaks. This year, House Bill 208 was passed and made into law in the state of Kentucky, banning phone usage for students during instructional time unless given permission by teachers. However, JCP has specifically put in place the policy to not allow phones to be used at all during school. Kentucky lawmakers passed the bill this legislative session, leaving the decision of how to implement the ban up to the school districts. Many people are confused or concerned about why the rules are so strict and or harsh, or even have safety concerns about the phone policy. However, I feel as if it's better for people to know the facts rather than being concerned or stressed over nothing. 72% of U.S. high school teachers say cell phone distraction is a major problem in the classroom. It's been about a month since school started, and the policy has actually been put in place. Everything that has been mentioned up to this point are things which occurred prior to the school year. But now that the system has been set into place for a while, we have interviewed a couple of people to see their perspective. First, we have a teacher's perspective, Mr. Dixon.
This is Mr. Dixon. I teach computer programming at Seneca High School. I can't find too many reasons why we do need it. That's what I've been trying to figure out. I'm always trying to plan through what's the right, why do we have technology? I mean, I teach technology and I've watched technology grow in the craziest way over the course of my lifetime. I haven't found anywhere where the cell phone is the only tool that's available. And I think that what I've seen from posing questions to all my students is that I feel like there's almost an over-reliance on it, and there's somewhat of a shortfall of the ability to problem solve.
Mr. Dixon expresses his concerns about how some students openly admit that they are addicted to their phones.
Answer to that, I don't know if it's going to change anything. Because, for example, my wife teaches elementary school, and she had a fourth grader the other day. They were talking about something else or whatever, and somehow phones came up, and a fourth grader said, "Oh, I'm totally addicted to my phone." And I was like, that's crazy, right? To be a fourth grader addicted to it, to just use those words, that's the language that she's using. I'm like, whoa.
But how will students move forward with these new changes without their phones? How will they move into the future?
Nobody's gonna you're not going to detention or whatever, ISAP or whatever. You're not going if you're pulling out a book to read. Nobody's doing that. Everybody's pretty much on the side of read whatever. Just start reading and read as much as you can.
Now that we have seen the perspective of a teacher, we have to ask, how does this policy directly affect the wide majority of people that this law is targeted towards? The students. How do they feel about the new phone policy? How does this affect them in the classrooms? And what are ways they deal with this in class?
It's Jonathan Martinez, Leva, they go.
You're with Zenith?
I think it's really mid, I can't lie. It makes this whole school year very boring compared to last year's. There's some benefits to it as well. I definitely understand that I think the library has been more popular and classes have been more engaged in actual work. But other than that, there's nothing much to it.
Jonathan believes that the phone policy does have its negatives, but its benefits as well as it stands. But he also believes that there are a few things which could be changed about it.
Well, globally, I wish that we could be allowed to use MP3 players, since Seneca is, I think, the only school that allows MP3 players currently. But at Seneca specifically, I wish we could use our phones at lunch.
Whilst there are things that people wish they could change about the policy, for now we have to live with how it is. For my next question, I asked the students how they begun to adapt to the policy.
Okay, I bought an MP3 player because obviously I need to listen to music. But I've also gone to the library every lunch since the lunch food is kind of...
Like I said earlier, I'd probably go back to the 10th grade thing where we had the phone pouches. I don't really remember that being implemented last year. So, yeah, that, in my opinion, helped so much more than what's going on this year. Because this year, it feels like you're forced to do it. But last year, even though people would still sneak their phone, there was so much more engagement in my classes. And that might just be me, but that's just my overall opinion.
Finally, I then asked them what their biggest concern about the policy was and why they think it's a major concern as it is.
I either go to sleep or I talk to my friends, or if there's no friends in my class, I just go watch YouTube, put on some headphones. But I've been using my Chromebook more. In the past, I would just use my phone to search something up. Like if a teacher asked something, I'd search it up. But now I actually have to type it into the Chromebook. It's a slower process because the Chromebooks are slower, but I get there eventually.
I just wonder how they're gonna handle the next year and the years after that, because like this year they're already like experimenting what they can do, but they're eventually gonna add more boundaries. So what are they gonna do in the future? And is it gonna get worse or better from here?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It gets out of hand. So teachers be even more strict about it. The consequences right now, I think, are very fair. I feel like it'd get even worse, which would just really be the opposite of helping it, be harming the students even more. That's about all.
How can we see what this does outside of the classroom? Over time, people have thought, why can't we use our phones in the morning before instruction, or how come we can't use it in the hallway, or even the lunchroom? These are questions that the students have always wondered about. Where is the harm in letting students have the break they want? What is the true meaning of why they want students off our phones?
Because when I walk into classrooms, I'm seeing kids engaged and talking to one another. I can say good morning to somebody, and they're going to respond to me, not buried in their phone. So in those regards, it's made it more pleasant. As far as like easier or harder, no, because y'all are kids. We got kids in the school. Kids are going to make good decisions. Kids are going to make bad decisions. So behavior is behavior. But the pleasantry of not having devices and kids kind of like just locked on those devices has been positive this year. The goal here is just to change the behavior for the school day, just when you're in those classrooms. I'm not trying to make anybody unreliable. That's like a decision you have to make on your own, because you are a judge of like, how healthy and how healthy or unhealthy a habit or behavior might be. That's up to you. But while you're here, I want to make sure that, you're focused. And when you go to college, there's a lot of places like where you can't just start flipping, like a professor's lecturing. You can't just be flipping through your phone, doing what you're doing while, so no. Short ain't long. It's a long answer, but no, we're it's not going to curb behavior for the cell phone policy. We're just trying to curb that behavior so you're connected to your learning and you get more from it.
In conclusion, everyone has their own thoughts and how they feel about the policy, but it is here to stay for the time being, regardless of how you feel about it. The cell phone policy tries to tackle a bigger issue, not only within the classroom, but school in general.